Manam Gertrude Tokonu a press conference. Novelty. Chese mihu bida. Mihu article 146 process a press conference abomu say that. We making several allegations. Me no be femu three. We raising issues about baby potin cry di na sem no. Ne won ye kun ne wofa. Ne wofa ne no ye hwan. Ana ne kun no. And why would the Chief Justice try to draw that link? Baby potin omudi djuma no. AL edu lodge no. Sa edu lodge no oye hwan. 3 December 2024 BBC we edu lodge ho. Me de bema na mama ne mama no allegations or kind no. Then I will sum it up for you what I think. Me for government the name because I feel say government responding no is a bit some way for me. Me explaining now. I think that this will be one of my longest videos. But if I catch you say the critical analysis channel no you're tryable to get you all the right document to unravel things for you. It's must also be sharing on this channel. Subscribe me. Now click the bell notification. Me the video be at my ube no at me ashebi. Chief Justice Kasa for almost 40 minutes. Now what I'll do for you is that the first video I made about my own, say ni chana walk around say charge ya dia boni nyina echi no. Ne lawyer echo committee nanim. So no mun ko dika so bom ni ade a you recognize a lawyer. 2 specific allegations near the ball no. Committee na tenase ebi no manya nyina so wo mo som the established Robroni kind of prima facie which is stipulated in Article 146 a jinaso Emma President Mahama assign warrant as indicated in Article 14610 to suspend them. No. Say nyina so na nkasa no. Council of State jinaso de yes ade no committee in fair man.
An example is an allegation that I failed to retire accountable interest of $14,000 when I traveled. When I did retire that accountable interest 2 days after I returned from my journey, I was given $14,000. I could only spend $4,400 and I returned $9,600 2 days after I returned from Ghana, from my journey. And so I knew that it was necessary that the issues being thrown around as petitions against me needed to get into the public space. I swore to a supplementary affidavit alerting the Supreme Court also of human rights violations that I had started encountering when I went to the Article 146 hearings. However, the members of the Supreme Court that heard the application refused my application for the hearing in open, and they also struck out the supplementary affidavit at the request of the Attorney General. I have decided to make this statement today because the violations have not stopped. Indeed, they have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined as possible in justice delivery. These violations include the committee's refusal, in breach of the rules of natural justice, to recognize my lawyer on the first day of proceedings, simply because I was not personally present with him. And they went ahead to make arrangements for the hearing without involving my lawyer while he was sitting in front of them. The committee has also failed to indicate the specific charges that I'm supposed to be defending myself against in order to allow me to adequately prepare a defense to the charges. The committee has gone on to permit 2 of the petitioners, Mr. Daniel Ofori and Shining Stars, not to testify at all or present what case they brought to them at the hearing. The committee has refused to allow me to go into the hearing with any family member. Before you enter, there's a thorough search of my body and my handbag in violation of protocols and courtesies extended to any Chief Justice which protocols and courtesies are honored in the name of the nation, both in Ghana and outside of Ghana. And then the work of the committee is being conducted in a cordoned high security zone on Castle Drive, Osu, when all Article 146 proceedings since 1993 have been held in facilities of the Judicial Service.
Yes, so that is the Chief Justice. Oka kusu koka se odu baby a charge kra ne ade ye de search no. Yes, search on one brewa obi a Chief Justice a ni position tenye se search no tu kwani ade nyina na committee no kwase a ye bone search. Ye man e bag mu search ne ade bio emrantie mienu anabaako Daniel Fori no ene dwumeko be fa the Shining Star. We say 3 petitions no accepted. ASP I think the dini akorogo or so. Daniel Fori ene Shining Star no. Daniel Fori ni Shining Star no committee ni say momu media dance here. Also on tiase. The making is the for suspended Chief Justice na say we are mama chirama nyama dwen na me chirama, just reporting what she said. They don't the first video no. The second video no. O say biaya yeah de no. Odwen say aban ne committee ni sheda. Ene chusu biaya no mu di na sel no because omo person omo kai ne ya obi. Na ya no omo person omo kai no eye ne wofa na ono na ehwe no e bra na o school University of Ghana.
It is hard not to reach the conclusion that the choice of venue against the backdrop of secrecy of proceedings is intended to intimidate me and to prevent any citizen of Ghana from knowing how the proceedings are being conducted. The Edu Lodge facility that the hearings are being conducted in featured very prominently in the planning of the murder of judges on June 30th, 1981. And this can be read about in the special investigative report on that terrible event in our nation's history. It will be recalled that there was a Major Samakwa, a military officer who was killed with the 3 High Court justices, who was the director of human resource of gov't. He was my uncle and my guardian when I entered the University of Ghana in September 1980. I was also living with him at the time he was abducted and murdered. Was Edu Lodge chosen for my inquiry to make me feel insecure? I think so. And I continue to hold the view that there's no reason why a judicial hearing is being conducted behind the high walls of Edu Lodge.
Yes, so that is the Chief Justice. Mobeka Ghana, SAR story 79 and 80 medicine. 3 High Court Justice are ye kumono. Na papa bi kan wa ye frɛ no Major Sam. Na Major Sam no ye hwan. Ma mempe ma wo. Eno ni Major Sam Akwa was the managing director of Ghana Industrial Holdings Corporation, GIHOC. Sir Papa ye kunu together with 3 justices of the Supreme Court. Kwamna je Japan papa ka ho. Justice Cecilia Cranton Edu eka ho. Ye benya yes kwamna je Japan Justice Kojo Eje Japan. Ana Justice Poku Sako de no. Cecilia Cranton na betu enufo ano. It's one of the saddest histories in Ghana's politics. Na ko Supreme Court as ha train chatting so na san krofo ma. They are the matters. Ye de omu si wose ye benya ye judicial independence ye kunwom. Na Sam Akwa no ye managing director of GIHOC. Ye kofa no ewo ni fie na ni fie ojowulu. Ye hu ni bio ni ekun. According to reports, he had been killed due to a signed letter that led to the dismissal of some agitating workers, including PNDC member Amatekwe, who became a suspect in the matter. It is Samako and the morning nyana say na GIHOC for staff will be a demonstration. And a wuji gomedi. According to Chief Justice, no ofei ano GIHOC no Major Sam Akwa ye kunu obabi a Edu Lodge si no. It is a wood and a cause a who could not sama or Jen say a binding person mo kai ne yaubi because no of an nation no a guardian on a no train school fees a brand no ye law our University of Ghana 1980. That is the second allegation I mean make here. I'll break it down for you. Edu Lodge, you know, or your wine. Let's go into the numbers. Edu Lodge ni Dian Kasa ede Emishadai Larson Edu. Or your wine. Edu Lodge, no, ye won 22nd October 1943 and Twum Ewo Eastern Region, then the Gold Coast. Alright, so yeah, be a permanent secretary to the Ministry of External Affairs before becoming secretary to the cabinet. So one of the first secretaries of the cabinet of Kwame Nkrumah, Kwatimote School near there, or a key member of the CPP regime. Or say, A.L. Edu was the first permanent secretary to Prime Minister Kwame Nkrumah, became first deputy secretary general to the Commonwealth Secretary General. He was one of the earliest Africans to take over the British colonial administrators and was in great demand for helping with the wind of change. Thus, he served on the governing board of the Institute of Development Studies set up by Barbara Castle at Success University in 1964. Next, Brabro Fonekono, one of the first black administrators are not senior as what school book any madea A.L. Edu. Until 2010 December 2024, by MPPA lose election in Korea. Project Kufuado Eco Commission the refurbished Edu Lodge and ne according to Chief Justice. What break me on a 1 year dinner seminal. See, and a Project Kufuado Ekai.
Fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here today to commission the renovated A.L. Edu Diplomatic Lodge, a facility that embodies the generosity, vision and patriotism of one of Ghana's finest sons, Mr. Emishadai Larson Edu, A.L. Edu, as he was popularly known. Today, as we reflect on this exceptional project, we celebrate not only the physical edifice before us, but also the values and legacy of a man who dedicated his life to public service and diplomacy. Mr. A.L. Edu's contributions to Ghana and the international community serve as an enduring reminder of what one individual, guided by a sense of duty and love for his or her nation, can achieve. Mr. A.L. Edu was a trailblazer, a man who walked with humility and yet left indelible footprints. His service to the nation is a reflection of his belief that diplomacy is not just a profession, but also a calling to bridge divides, foster understanding, and create lasting change. His work reminds us all of the power of service, and his life is an example for this and future generations of Ghanaians to emulate. Ladies and gentlemen, this lodge is a gateway to possibilities. It has been designed to accommodate Ghanaian and foreign diplomats alike. Please excuse me. That can save the future of Ghana and indeed of the world. With its 15 presidential suites, advanced meeting facilities, and cutting-edge translation services, it stands as a beacon of Ghana's commitment to fostering collaboration and addressing global challenges.
Yes, so that is Edu Lodge. So now I've established two things. So Edu Lodge, you know, or Nipa way, then creating Yesi Lodge Amano because of a brow boy in the liberation of Ghana. Say Ghana benya the fan who did one of the key people, no, nay Emishadai Larson Edu. In short, A.L. Edu. Into non the lodge, you know, any Eddie Mamenasem. Now finally, na Chief Justice now responded to one almost one retire, no one resign. No. Or say on retire, on resign. Then to us one retire, on resign. And need.
The final and fourth reason for this statement is that I have heard on several occasions from loved ones, persons who care, persons who may not know me beyond my public duties, and many who think that since these proceedings seem to be carefully staged to result in my removal as Chief Justice, it would be best if I just retired or resigned rather than subject myself to an ill-motivated process. I have also received threats and veiled threats to the effect that if I fail to resign or retire voluntarily, I will be made to suffer some harm or the other. I've also heard commentaries in the media about how this process was born out of a stated political agenda to remove me and control the judiciary, and that it is a political effort that can only result in an outcome that was decided long before it started. I thank everyone who has engaged in this conversation out of concern for my safety and well-being. Let me assure everybody that I am not seeking to cling to a title or a position. However, as a lawyer of 38 years standing, a judge of 21 years standing, and Chief Justice who has served the rule of law all my working life, in fact since I was 25, it is my onerous duty and obligation to speak up concerning anything that is extremely wrong with the administration of justice in this country. This is what I do every day. The situation I have been confronted with has shown me a model of injustice that I would never have thought possible if I had not been exposed to it. This is why, despite great personal discomfort, I have decided to marshal every effort in law and leadership to answer to this situation. Again, resigning or retiring while Article 146 proceedings are being conducted to remove a judge is not an option any judge or public official can even have. There is a decided case on the matter by the Supreme Court. The suit number is J6/02/2019. Again, no one has the authority to walk away from proceedings started by the state. Judgment can be entered against you because you fail to defend yourself. And a judge who resigns or retires would still lose all entitlements that they have worked for because they failed to defend the claims and resigned or retired while the proceedings were still going on. Therefore, if false claims are made against a judge or commissioner or other public office holder subject to Article 146 proceedings, just to achieve a political agenda, the solution cannot be to resign or voluntarily retire out of frustration, pressure, or fear. You would only subject yourself to two cruelties: a judgment based on false claims and loss of everything you have worked for. It may well be that the efforts being made are intended to frustrate me so that I resign, so that the architects of the scheme can go back into the media and say that the wild and unfounded allegations were not defended because they were true and I had no defense to them. As Chief Justice of the nation, who has been given the privilege and obligation to lead administration of justice, I should not turn tail and run when I know the implications of not defending false and unwarranted charges. If I resign under these circumstances, I will be saying that this flawed, unknown, and opaque process is acceptable. It is not. Finally, let me respectfully say that the current bizarre proceedings I have brought to your attention present a twist to our nation's democratic journey that we all ignore at our own cost. My humble view is that Ghana has come too far in the 33 years of the Fourth Republic not to be concerned about the unconstitutionalities that have been designed not to affect just me personally as Chief Justice, but all judges and public officers subject to removal processes of Article 146 if this one is successfully carried out without being questioned.
Yes, it was say Article 146 the crime ma ho kwan so be resign and obereta. Na okọ resign and okoreta, it may appear say be a man for bedwen say or you guilty. Lastly, so or resign or return entitlement. So wa bob brasuma wa sum court no okaye. Why lawyer for 35 years, why a judge for 21 years. The entitlement ye tire say oko ahomegyema. Sikesi ya demand na yemfa money because somebody didn't say when to me defending who ye. That is the reason why according to Mahama no on ereta. So this is the version of the Chief Justice. Now what is Eugene's version? Me say me team GDA. The Chief Justice herself doesn't trust the judiciary she's pretending over because Osro I feel say she doesn't trust the system she is part of. And it's sad that she doesn't trust the system. Again, me doing some Article 146. I mean, lawyer there was say all the procedures must be held in camera. It's me into a press conference. I feel say it may not be too thorough, but I will not also be grounded. He's a Chief Justice. Say you are a lawyer for 35. Me and say man, but based on my reading of Article 146, me doing say na avoidable. 3. I have an issue where me agree with Mahama. In the second petition, senior police officer Koto Asasia, but before the man assembly could do Supreme Court, ye butia no beti ma ye ko jeli no. Witness of to that incident, no, Justice Bawumia. Justice Bawumia so na the chairman of that process, no. Again, I am told say petitioner 2 na assembly fan no. I listed Justice Bawumia as a witness in the matter. Let's assume say process started. Now ogboni this Justice Bawumia assembly see na wo ho. Incident in any court proceeding and I'm at the letters are there. Accusation why you know. Now Justice Bawumia could give it testimony on one assigned chair of the committee. It will raise some element of doubt. That is why I agree with the Constitutional Review Chairman currently. Going forward, we need to amend Article 146 to include retired justices of the Supreme Court because they don't serve on the court currently. Therefore, they will not be witnesses to some of these incidents because some see not Justice Bawumia take case in so. Justice Yoni Kolendi take case in so. Justice Bawumia onye bone Article 146 5-member committee, 2 justices of the Supreme Court, any other members who are not Council of State members, nor lawyers, nor MPs. It's going for an say amend this provision because our branch here, police ni a kologo or Fred Justice Bawumia so media 10 adansia. It will sound some way. Again, such charges near the I find nothing wrong with say. Yabeka say be a 4 when you so ntia can say project suspend and I continue process no. Yeah, the man. I don't see anything wrong with that. Nienti America say, "They will Mahama no kasa na tire say, osro say ebi o man fa mana they may sneak things in tie ni wo tie ni here pa. Srobi wom. Srobi onyi gidi was system. That is my own deduction of all that is happening. That is my deduction of it. Me do be see now so watch what want to make of it. Bese video no be tin. So what you want to make of it. Na fama me. I have critical analysis channel. Make sure so be subscribe. Must subscribe here. Click the bell notification. Me the video be tuma. Ube na wetimi. I should be. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.